Hello and welcome to another Home Sold. I'm Steven.Verdelli, your host and realtor with Coldwell-Banker, Wellesley's #1 real estate firm for 23 years in a row. Today we have Jake Lilley from Jake Lilley Architects with us to talk about architectural design. Hi Jake.
How are you, Steven?
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So Jake, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, you wouldn't know it from the accent, but I'm originally from England. Was born there and moved over here when I was in high school. My mom's American. Went to college here and ended up marrying somebody here, and so I'm full American, I guess, now.
Great. Full-blooded USA.
That's right.
Great. And Jake, you live in Wellesley.
I do.
And where is your architectural firm located?
We're amongst the shops downtown on Central Street. If you know Stewart Swan Furniture, we're upstairs from Stewart.
Okay. The big yellow house on the end of Central Street at Weston Road.
Right, 103 Central.
Which used to be the Hathaway House, which was a bookstore.
Correct.
100 years ago.
Right, and we get people coming in who relive those stories for us.
I'm looking for books.
That's right. So
well, now we know where we can find an architect.
Exactly.
So Jake, tell me a little bit about where you went to school to get your degree.
So I went to Cornell University in upstate New York, which was great. It was beautiful and isolated, and I could focus on my studies. But when I was done, I needed a big city lifestyle, and I guess Boston's a big city for me. And so I moved here, and I've been here since.
It's certainly a city for architecture.
It's a great city for architecture.
So let's talk a little bit about architecture, an architect versus a general contractor, somebody who wants to do a renovation, something as simple as maybe a kitchen or a bathroom or a whole addition on their house. Why should they work with an architect rather than just going right to a general contractor?
Yeah, that's a great question. First, I should say there's a great resource out there for people, which is the AIA website, which stands for American Institute of Architects. And they provide a ton of information because there's just a lot to learn, and that's a good resource for people. Generally, architects, we understand how to work with contractors. We understand design, understand construction techniques. We're facile at dealing with town permitting process. And though construction may seem straightforward because people watch it on HGTV, it can be quite complicated, and it's important to have somebody who understands all the moving bits and pieces and is an advocate for the client.
So whether you're doing a small renovation as a kitchen, it's important to work with an architect.
We always think so. For some people, the economy of scale sometimes may not seem to make sense if you're like saying, I'm just redoing my bathroom. But let's use that for example. You're redoing your bathroom and you decide you want to put a vessel sink in, and you look at a Kohler faucet that's horizontal and it drops the water in. You may not realize that Kohler makes those faucets with a 50% reduced flow rate. So if you push it too far away, it trickles into your sink. Who knew? Well, an architect will probably know that and would advise you to move the faucet over, and now your hands aren't being washed on the side of the bowl. They're the smallest little things, but they add up.
And budgets as well. So architects and general contractors generally do get along. Oh,
yes, and it should be a good symbiotic relationship because it's the architect's job to do a good set of drawings so that no stone's left unturned. It's the contractor's job to be able to execute those drawings and build in a qualified way. But contractors are, like architects, can be very different. You can have a small outfit who's a sole proprietor, swings a hammer, works out of their truck. Or you can have somebody that has 60 ongoing projects and a staff of 50. So it's important for clients to understand who is the right fit for their project. And that's what we try and do, is advise them on that.
Exactly. Or you could do like I did and pretend that you're a general contractor and spend way more money than you should have and not really know what you're doing, which is never a good idea.
We definitely have a handful of horror stories for people that have taken on that role, or even worse, try to be their own general contractor. And within a town like Wellesley, they will discourage that once you go to the building department.
Jake, when you're meeting with a client to discuss a new project, what are some of the questions that you ask them?
Well, first we ask them, have they ever done a renovation project or worked with an architect? If they have, then they probably cut their teeth a little bit and maybe understand what's involved. If not, we try to do our best to explain to them the process, make sure that their scope and their budget seem appropriate, and walk them through what the expectations of a project are. It's very complicated, and a lot of the times, if they go in without any understanding, there can be a lot of anxiety involved.
Absolutely. Now, you just touched base on a good word, budget, which nobody really likes to use. but I think the architects are great with keeping people in a realistic budget. What kind of trends have you seen in the past or moving forward that have maybe come and gone or currently staying that really impact that budget significantly?
Well, some people may look at like a Carrara marble for their kitchen countertops, and a Calcutta is another form of Carrara marble, but it's 10 times the price of it. And so people may look at things and say, geez, I really want that. And we could advise them and say, you can have something very close to it, but this is going to cost you, $7,000 more. And they can make some informed decisions. So sometimes on the trend front, we try and help them so that they can make an educated decision.
So you'll actually help people go see these different options and help them make those decisions?
It depends. Some projects we have interior designers working on the project, and our scope is more of the big idea and all of the millwork inside, and the interior person may run with that. But we're always there for our client if they do have questions regarding interiors to try and steer them in the right direction.
People are always getting renovation ideas from shows that they're watching, and I'm sure you watch them as well. I always like to know what the professionals are watching. I'm sure one of your favorite shows is Another Home Sold. But
Absolutely.
second to that, what's another show that you like to watch that you yourself get ideas from?
Yeah, so I would say that some of the shows that are on in my household would probably be HGTV. My wife's addicted to international house hunters. But there's a lot of interesting programs in there because it really expands upon the world of construction for the layman. Unfortunately, there's also a dose of kind of the TV reality in there.
Sure, unrealistic.
Right, the schedules tend to be quite quick, and the budget sometimes somewhat low, and so occasionally we do get somebody who will ask, but I saw that on this project, and we have to educate them a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So we live in New England. So we could have 103-degree temperatures, we could have -7 degrees, and we could have 10 feet of snow for 6 months. What about architectural restrictions with that type of topography and weather conditions that we're living in?
Yeah.
How does that play into architecture?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reality is, with today's technology for both heating and cooling and for structural engineering, we can pretty much do anything. So you can make a glass box with a flat roof work in Lincoln. Is it appropriate for this climate? Probably not. So a lot of the design avenues that we pursue are ones that deal with just working in tandem with nature. There's a reason why a salt box house looks like it does. It's orientation. These are things that have been learned over thousands of years, and so I think we shouldn't discard them.
Okay. So like back to those center entrance colonials that we have so many here in Wellesley, built in the 20s, 30s, and 40s that have really stood the test of time over years. Is there a time that's better than not to build or do a renovation project?
If your renovation includes an addition of sorts, or if it's a completely new construction, then you probably do not want to be building or starting close to the winter months. It's much more complicated for the contractor. There are a lot of different restrictions that contractors have to deal with, and in the end that comes back to be a premium for the homeowner. So if there is foundation work, you want to get it in before November and start usually around March. If it's just an interior renovation, then unless you're opening up a lot of exterior walls where they'll have to close up at night because of winter conditions, you can pretty much go year round.
So you're talking about actually pouring a cement concrete foundation for an addition. Stay away from the wintertime for that. You
can do it, and we do it all the time. Sometimes clients just don't have a choice. They have to get the house built before a school season starts and you're building through the winter. But ideally, you don't want to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about trends. What have you seen in the past, as well as things moving forward, that people have started to incorporate or sort of pulling back from in their home renovations, as well as new construction?
Well, I think maybe part of this is post-2008, but it seems like people are not quite as hungry for more space. Everybody needs space, right? There's always I've got a lot of stuff factor. But I think the national trend has been for houses kind of stabilizing their sizes. So that's been something we've witnessed. Also, people are looking for kind of more timeless looks, not kind of one-off fads that somebody looks at 10 years from now and says, oh, I remember that, kind of thing. So more timeless materials, like I mentioned, Carrara marble. There's just something which looks great 20 years from now and looked great 20 years ago.
What do you think are some of the most valuable additions that somebody can do to their house to increase the value that people will use year after year?
Well, kitchens and bathrooms, any space that you just use heavily is something you want to invest in. Day-to-day spaces should reflect your lifestyle and should be designed to make it both convenient and enjoyable for your use. Also, the value of $1 in sometimes can translate close to $1 out for those type of renovations. So I think that's probably one place where people like to invest their money.
Do you think, touching base on kitchens, do you think that there's a life expectancy on a kitchen?
Yeah, I do. As timeless as you would like to be, nobody's really forecasting where things are 30 years from now. People love like a traditional shaker New England kitchen. And maybe 30 years from now, that's still in vogue. But it may be that everybody wants a different kind of look, and that shaker kitchen is now passé. So it's sometimes it's hard to keep the finger on the pulse for these things.
I understand. Jake, something that's coming more and more popular is geothermal and solar, especially here in Wellesley, which I always thought it was something that you'd see more in the south or in the west. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen a trend in the last 15 or 20 years of people wanting to be green and be energy conscious, and that translates back to homes, because there's a tremendous amount of energy in this country is used through people's day-to-day living. So geothermal, solar thermal, photovoltaics, these are all great measures that people can incorporate into the design of their house that will have paybacks. The question is, how long are you going to be in the house? Because the paybacks for something like geothermal, the payback may be 15 or 20 years. It's a much larger upfront cost, where solar thermal is much less expensive and the payback may be more immediate. Also, the federal government has a lot of incentives for rebates. You kind of have to check from time to time to see where they stand, which help kind of incentivize people to take that step and incorporate it into their houses.
Great. So let's say that we're meeting together to talk about a renovation on a house. First time you come in, we've talked about our budget, we've talked about what we're looking at. What's the time frame here between the time that you walk through the door, where the equipment shows up, where I'm actually living in my new renovation?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we get that all the time. So there's two components to it. One is the process and how long it takes the architect to do it. The other component is the homeowner, and are they available? Are they good decision makers? And these two things come together to really establish how long a project takes. So if you're somebody who is available and you're a good decision maker, the process can move pretty smoothly. It moves through an initial napkin sketch phase, which is called schematic design. And that usually can take about 2 months, and there are multiple meetings. Different ideas are vetted out and typically gelled into one. And then what we typically do is have a pricing exercise happen right at the end of that, right away, so that we know, does the budget and the wish list, are they reconciling one another? Do we need to make an adjustment to the scope? Do we need to make an adjustment to the budget? Nobody wants to be really excited about a project to find out at the end of the day that they're over budget or they can't afford it. So let's get that out of the way right away. The next phase is what's called design development. And that's where you kind of flush out the nuances of the design. And then the last part is construction documents, where we put together a permit set that a contractor can build from, take to the town, and get that permitting process started. That whole soup to nuts can be as short as 4 to 5 months, can be as long as 9 months, depending on the complexity and the size of the house.
Right.
It doesn't happen overnight.
No, certainly doesn't.
Yeah.
Jake has brought some pictures, which we're going to be taking a look at right now. Jake, let's look at some of these, the first ones that you brought on.
So, Steven, I picked a couple things that I thought the viewers might be interested in. This is a house in Concord. Some folks overseas purchased it. They had a handicapped son and another child, so they needed more space. They wanted a garage, but they wanted to maintain the character of the house. it was a classic house, but it was worn
Yep.
and needed to be renovated. So this second image here shows midway through construction of the old house being renovated and the garage addition coming together, and you can see the slab below here where they're going to meet.
That is wild.
Right, and you can see here this is the finished product down below here of that corner, and then up above here, this is it now from the street. And you know, when you're doing a renovation, the nice thing you can do, a renovation or an addition, is that you can control those variables. So this child was handicapped, and we put in an elevator for them. All the counters were low, the not aisles wide, the doors appropriately sized. So, you know, it's important to know what you want, and if your architect's a good listener, you should get it at the end.
That's great. Now, this one here, this is in...
So these projects here, these are all new construction. These
Yep.
aren't renovations. And I just picked a little cornucopia for you. At the bottom right here, this is the new athletic center for Concord Academy in Concord. It's a 7-acre lot of playing fields, and we designed a athletic building with the training rooms and lockers and dressing rooms. They're old facilities, and their old fields flooded every single year and basically shortened the athletic period. So they had a new site. And in this building here, we took our cues from kind of the white, classic Concord Academy campus look, and we bored it so that this house, even this facility, it's not a house, this facility,
Yeah.
even though it's a mile and a half down the road from their campus, still felt like it was part of their campus.
So you're doing residential as well as commercial buildings.
Yeah, we've done a lot of institutional private schools. Our focus primarily today is more on the residential end, but occasionally we will work. We wrapped up a science building audit for Northfield, Mount Herman a couple years ago as well, and we've had some projects in Philadelphia for some private schools, some science buildings we've designed and so forth. But the focus is primarily residential today. So this is a project in Needham. I chose it because it's the classic Cape. A young family came to us, had the growing pains, 2 kids, needed more space.
Yep.
Now, the beautiful thing about colonials and capes is that they're very efficiently laid out. But if you need to do an addition, which they did, you've got to kind of go through a room to get to a room on the second floor.
Yep.
So there were challenges there, which we were able to design around. And here we just did a simple extension off of the building, added some dormers for natural light, and we call it the contemporary Cape. It's still got all a kind of a material palette people would be used to here, but it's unique, and it met all their needs. This other project over here is one in Lexington, and I chose this one because this house shows multiple additions put onto it in a very unthoughtful manner, one after another, even additions on top of roofs. This is really a dormer with a dormer on top of the dormer.
This kind of resembles something that I would do if I was the general contractor. That didn't even really turn out right.
That can happen. So once again, we just apply, which is our approach to projects, which is we believe that the best solutions are the most straightforward solutions. Mm-hmm. And so with this house, we just extended it out and picked up on some of the strong architectural elements that were there originally.
Now, where's
the
this
farmer's porch? This is in Lexington, and they had the farmer's porch. And so we used that to kind of ground the addition and just kind of unquirk the house, if you will.
Sure. And these final pictures of the bathrooms, which I thought were great.
And I just threw this in there because everybody loves a bathroom renovation. This is in Waban in Newton. This was a very large master bathroom, about 14 feet by 10 feet wide, and it was vacant, and it felt very cool to be in. And the client just asked us if we could put a spin on it. So we created 2 zones. We created a wet zone where the tub and the shower is with tile, and then a dry zone with all mahogany floor and mahogany cabinets to kind of warm up the space, use the right kind of lighting. There was a ceiling height wasn't overly tall, so we put some uplighting there to make it feel a little taller. And now it's a refreshing change every morning.
Jake, I want to thank you for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Jake Lilley Architects can be found at 103 Central Street in Wellesley. They can also be found at jakelilleyarchitects.com. And you be sure to follow us on Facebook at Another Home Sold. Don't go away, because next we're going to be going to 128 Walnut Street to see a new construction condominium with Claudia Carroll from Coldwell-Banker. Now we're going to be going to 128 Walnut Street in Wellesley to see a new construction project condominium with Claudia Carroll from Coldwell-Banker. Hi, Claudia. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
My pleasure. Claudia, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a real estate agent. I work with Coldwell-Banker. I started working with Coldwell about 3.5 years ago, but I'm being a real estate agent about 10 years. So I work mostly in Wellesley, and I have some listings in Eden as well. So I cover both of those markets.
Great. And Claudia, you're one of our only bilingual agents in the office.
Yes, I am. I speak both languages. I speak Spanish. I'm coming from Colombia and South America, and I also speak English.
That's very helpful. So let's talk a little bit about this unit here on Walnut Street. We get a 9-room, 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath condo.
Yes.
Just over 3,300 square feet. New construction. Tell me a little bit about this.
Well, it is a gorgeous home. This house was actually built by Michael Tedoldi, a very well-known builder in Eden and in Wellesley as well. Fabulous construction. It has everything that someone is looking into a single family, but don't want to deal with any more yard work, and they're looking into a convenient location. This is the perfect home. It has a great layout. It has a very nice open space for dining, living area. A beautiful kitchen with a granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, top-of-the-line appliances. If you look at the details of the house is well built. And tremendous amount of details all throughout. Has that, chair railing all throughout the first floor. It has a beautiful office of the foyer as you walk into the house. All hardwood floors throughout. Granite counter in the kitchens as well, and the bathrooms, and it has a finished lower level with 12-feet ceilings.
Wow.
And the lower level has a nice open area that someone can use it for, media room. But in addition to that, it has also a nice bedroom with a closet and a full-size windows. The house is gorgeous. It has everything that, the people are looking for nowadays when they come to look for a single family, but this is a condominium.
So it's a condominium, so the condominium fee is $250 a month, which takes care of all the maintenance on the property.
Well, the $250 is for the master insurance, because this works more as a single family, but if somebody would like to, pay and put a little more towards the condo fees, then you can put money in the side for any additional maintenance. But both of these townhouses, because it's side-by-side townhouses, are new construction, so they're not in any maintenance need right now.
Currently. And it has 3 full baths, so there's a full bath on every floor.
There is a full bath on every floor, and there's 1.5 bathroom in the main level. So you have a master bathroom and a hallway bathroom in the second floor, and 1 full bathroom in the basement as well.
Great. And there's 2-car garage. And I see that it has 3 zones of heating and 3 zones of cooling.
Of cooling, yes. And actually, the heating was all with gas, and you have a tankless heating system, which is fabulous, and it's very efficient. And the house is also well built. It has a tremendous amount of insulation and a great wall sound barrier between the 2 units, so you won't be bothered by the noise of the second unit. And if you are inside the house, you can't hear any noise.
So it's good soundproofing between the 2 walls.
It is soundproofing, yes.
And you did say that it has a full bath on the first floor?
No, it has a half bathroom on the first floor, a full bathroom in the basement.
Full bathroom in the basement with a shower.
Great.
That's great.
Yes, it is a great.
And 12-foot high ceilings in the basement.
In the basement, yes, and 9 feet in the first and second floor.
So very high ceilings. You get a lot of crown molding as well here. throughout the whole house, a lot of detail.
Yes, it has the French doors, letting you tours the dining living area, and also you have French doors coming from the foyer to the office, which is on the left-hand side as you walk in. I mean, the builder did a fantastic job all throughout. I
Gas
mean,
fireplace.
Gas fireplace, and you have even the copper ceilings on the dining living area, which is beautiful. There's a nice curve of appeal all throughout.
Beautiful coffered ceilings there. And one of the things that I like too is in the kitchen, I'm noticing, I love the cabinets that go all the way up to the ceiling. You don't see that very often.
Yes,
You get that extra space up there, which is always helpful.
and the nice light colors, the matches with the it has a very nice blue, grayish, black splash, and it looks just beautiful. A lot of attention to detail in every place of the house.
Beautiful outdoor space. Too, you've got a deck and then direct access from the basement, correct?
Yes, that's right. You have a patio, and then you also have the attic, which is great for, if you inviting people over and you're watching the football game. You have a nice sliding door that leads you to the patio, and you can have a grill, anything in there. So the house provides everything.
And Claudia, this house has a 2-car garage and a mudroom off of the garage, correct?
Yes, it
Right,
does.
so that's where you can leave muddy shoes, coats, everything.
And a huge 2-car garage. Besides, have plenty of space downstairs from in the basement, and also an unfinished space in the basement for storage. It has a very nice, spacious 2-car garage that you can also use for storage.
Great. So if you are interested in this house at 128 Walnut Street in Wellesley, condominium, new construction, move-in condition, you can reach Claudia Carroll at claudia.carroll@anymoves.com, or you can call Claudia directly on her cell phone, which is 617-407-2049, 128 Walnut Street in Wellesley. Claudia, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.